I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have a great knowledge of the content they want to deliver, they want to present, but it's that presenting part which is the complication. It makes it difficult to actually achieve the level that you want because you just weren't sure how to present that content. You know it, you're familiar with it, but how do you deliver it? So on this episode of Home Studio Pro, I'm going to give you some tips for your delivery. By the way, if you like this video, thumbs up on it. Also, please consider subscribing to this channel for similar content. Okay, there are three methods, I should say, of presenting. Number one is completely off the cuff. Number two is outlined. That's, by the way, what I'm doing here, kind of an outlined presentation. And then the last one is a fully scripted presentation, which is pretty self-explanatory, but not necessarily perfect or for everybody. So you need to decide which of those three, there's only those three, which of those three are you going to go with for your presentations? Number one, off the cuff. That's no notes. That's nothing on this screen over here. I've committed it all to memory. Maybe some notes, but nothing word for word of what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, and how exactly it's going to translate. So the benefit of off the cuff is that it sounds natural. It sounds like I'm just talking to you right now. We're having a conversation. This is how I normally speak. I am not speaking like I am reading off of a teleprompter or out of a book, right? I'm just talking normal to you right now. But there are a couple drawbacks, and especially if you're either uncomfortable or new at this, off the cuff, right, to do it well is mastering the art of it. It's not for everybody. It's not for the most green or inexperienced. It does offer you less structure. Again, you could make some notes. I don't want to go too far into the outline category because we're getting into that realm if we write too many things down. If it's all in the brain, there is typically less structure because how often do you really stick to A to B to C to D to 1 to 2 to 3? Unless you have a photographic memory, that might be difficult, and especially in the moment, and especially when there's distraction. So less structure if you're entirely off the cuff. How about time concerns? How long have I been going here? They told me to go for 10 minutes, and if I'm off the cuff and I didn't really plan this out, I might have spent 7 minutes alone on the first of like 5 topics I need to hit. I only have 3 minutes to get to the final, handful of things. So time concerns, getting too far, going on too long, droning on too long, those are all possible. Even cutting it too short, time concerns are huge if you're all off the cuff. And then obviously, and probably most importantly, you could flat out forget things when you try and do it off the cuff. Because again, distractions and adrenaline and being in the moment and somebody asks a question, throws you off. If there's any type of pause or break, the streamlined flow of thoughts that you had, that you were rehearsing and practicing, all that stuff, you can still skip over something or forget it quite easily a lot of the times. And look, that happens to even me as a professional broadcaster. I'll go off the cuff and I'll still just not get it exactly how I wanted to because I didn't write anything down, right? Didn't script it. I thought it would look better natural and I missed a beat. So some positives, some drawbacks to that, and the same thing with outlined, which, by the way, is exactly what I'm doing here. This is an outline. This is a PowerPoint presentation. It's an Apple Keynote presentation, if I'm being clear and honest with you, but this is more refined, right? It's got a roadmap, what I need to hit next, point after point after point. So this is a hybrid method because it's not exactly off the cuff, but it's obviously not completely scripted. Like, where are my words? Where are my words over there? There's no words here on the table. So if I don't have them in my brain or if they don't come out of my mouth properly, it's because I don't have them. Like, this is natural. You do get to make big points, and see how I almost forgot what I was going to next? You get to make these big points when you're outlined because I've literally put them in list view. I'm not going to skip anything. So I'm going to hit the biggest things and I'm going to talk about each one of them. I could have had a list of 6 things here, but I narrowed it down to 3. So big points, big topics, one by one by one. And last but not least, probably one of the biggest benefits of the outlined version of presentation is that it's a clear journey. I could plan this 2 days ago, and I know how this is going to flow. I know how it's going to be. I can rehearse this. I don't want to go too much because then I'll seem like a robot. But I can run this through my brain a few times, which I didn't for this video, and I can nail it pretty good when it's outlined. So this, honestly, this is my favorite. This is how I prefer to do things. I'm more efficient this way. I'm still natural, but I'm organized. It literally is the best of both worlds, because the complete other far end of the side, right, from off the cuff, is completely scripted. Like word for word, I'd come on here, I would generally read off a teleprompter that's in front of that camera, just like news broadcasters do. The reason that they do that is because they need to nail their script. They're talking about serious business, politics, business, finance, human interest stories, war, violence, all the above. Like, these are critical things, and they do not want to mince their words. They don't want to get their words wrong. Their words have impact, and they need to make sure that those words come across properly. So news anchors, they read off a teleprompter or they read a script because they need to nail it. If you need to nail it, like if you really need to get this word for word, maybe that's your best option. I'll tell you from personal experience as a broadcaster who wants to, be normal and natural, I will refrain from reading a script word for word unless it involves a life or death scenario. I want to respectfully get it right when it involves life or death. So I will generally read, and I don't care how it looks. If I come across more robotic, I want to get it right in what I say. Some drawbacks of fully scripted, it involves a lot of writing. Like, you could spend 3 times the amount of writing to get to what you're actually reading. You could spend a lot of time getting the words right and typing them out, writing them out, as opposed to actually delivering them. As I said before, reading the entire script is a little bit less natural, whether it's a teleprompter that not everybody is trained on how to use it, how to make that look natural. I've read off a prompter for thousands of hours in my life. I could make it look like I'm not reading something right now off the prompter when I actually am. Most people can't do that. They're typically reading off a paper, trying to look up and down, and that will throw them off more than anything else. So you are definitely generally less natural when you're actually scripted. And then the last thing there, teleprompter. Do you even have access to a teleprompter? Because if you don't, again, this is not really an option for you to be reading down like this, looking away from the camera the entire time. It's not the worst thing in the world if you were to actually do that. But is that what you ultimately want to do for your audience and for your viewers? I will leave you with some bonus material here. Other trusted presenting tips. These are across the board. These are for everybody, including myself. After 20 years of doing this on camera, I still tell myself these things quite often. Number 1, slow down more. Yeah, even me in this video. Slow down, Brazil. You've been going too fast this entire video. Slow down the pace. Your brain gets excited. Your mind gets excited about what you're delivering. Slow down. I suffer from that a lot, especially from the sports side. We're all fast talkers in sports broadcasting. Second thing here, you're never as good or as bad as you thought you were. Thought that speech didn't go well? Watch it back. I bet you it's better than you thought. Or you thought that speech was perfect. You thought that video you just made was the best thing ever. Watch it back. I'll bet you find some flaws in it. I'm not trying to build you up too much or knock you down. I'm trying to level you out here. Again, you're never usually as good or as bad as you initially thought. I'll also tell you that preparation and rehearsals do pay off. Again, I'm not talking about memorization here or overdoing it or trying to be immaculate or perfect. I'm just saying that some preparation and some rehearsing of what you're actually going to do so that when you do it, it's not for the first time. They will actually pay dividends. And then ultimately, speak to the camera like it's a person. And I know that might be difficult because it's not a person and you're used to seeing facial reactions. For some broadcasters, it's actually harder to talk to a human face-to-face than it is the camera lens because this is what we get used to. But get used to speaking to the camera lens like it's your friend, like it's somebody who trust is mutual with. And that is going to do you a lot of good. That's a great presentation tip. In this era of home studios, trying to come across professional, those are my tips for your delivery. Doesn't matter what type of content you delve into. I think that can help pretty much everybody. Hey, if you like this video, thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel. I've got lots more good stuff coming your way.